so awful. I was not a big fan of the character in the books. I was not a fan of the character in the movies. It's a point of contention in my house because my wife has like a hard crush on Ron Weasley from like the movies or whatever, and she loves that character. And I'm like, he's stupid. He's unskilled. He's not even charming. He literally offers no depth whatsoever other than, oh, he's dating Hermione now. Okay.
Well, no, I disagree completely. But I will say the casting of Ron Weasley, while he looks nothing like he's described, except for the fact that he's ginger, he acts most like he's a character that fits most into what he was like in the book. He's like, while he doesn't look like him, he plays him perfectly. Okay, I'm not worried about the actor. I'm worried about the fact that Ron Weasley is not a good character. No, Ron Weasley is a great character.
I'm like this character is a Garbo. Can we get like another?
Can we replace a friend?
You have like right? Like, Hermione's obviously the best. Like nobody touches Hermione. She's amazing. Well, maybe Ron touches Hermione, but then you have Harry, who's like stumbles into being awesome by like good
the
luck.
Chosen one.
And like you can appreciate circumstance and luck. Like he's not genuinely that great, and I appreciate that angle. But then you have Ron, who's just like, yeah, you're the Duff, dude. And
well,
hear me out. You're like the Duff stuff.
Ron represents the average person. Where if you have greatness, the chosen one, and the book smart who knows everything, you need someone who is the average person.
I would have been perfectly fine with average. Hell, even what's his weirdo face, the one that could have been Harry Potter, was Neville. Thank you, Neville Longbottom. Even Neville would have been a better representation than Ron, who is just like, I am not good at anything ever and always fail.
But Neville was also not good at anything ever except for herbology eventually.
Yeah, he eventually kind of like found his footing and kind of pushed himself. Ron literally doesn't get good at it. That's not
Wizard's
the
chess.
Average.
If it weren't for Ron and the Wizard's chess, they wouldn't have even gotten past the second.
Everyone,
movie, right?
every part of the team's important.
All over.
Yeah.
Ron is just so. I'm like, he's in the scene. Okay.
If you think about how like unbelievably amazing Hermione is, though, and like how chosen and yet disturbingly average Harry is. He's like, yeah, everything about me, my grades and everything, they're like high to average.
See,
oh yeah, but
Harry was the average one. Yeah, Harry was the average one.
But he's not, because he's like grandiose and chosen and whatnot.
No, see, that's an angle that could have been cool. If you had
to make someone average, they need to make them so goddamn average.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is the angle they could have gone in was Harry could have been so obviously average like he was, that was lifted up in all these ways and circumstance happened to work in his favor because he wasn't good at anything. Like he happened to have like a slight knack for the dark arts, but even Hermione surpassed him because she's fucking Hermione and amazing.
Parseltongue, and he's amazing at Quidditch.
But again, that is just like, it's literally what. Okay, Quidditch was the thing that they did. That was like, but Quidditch doesn't matter outside of Quidditch. You know what I mean?
Flying a broom definitely played a big part into the books, which is exactly what Quidditch was there for.
I will completely concede to that point. But again, it's one of those things where it's like Harry could have been the average character. They could have played it up a little bit more and still had two super amazing characters to show like, wow, he's the Wonder Boy, but he's so painfully average.
Well, how about this? How about this? Not only is Ron the average one, but he comes from a family of just kind of average. They're almost like a character together. Like all of them.
Okay, the Weasley family is probably one of the best parts of the entire series. Like
you can't have that without Ron.
Sure, but I love the Weasley family, and I understand Ron's the tie-in to this like fucking golden egg that exists in the story. Like the Weasley
golden
family.
eggs.
It's just like it sits in your heart. You're like, these are like, I want them to win. And then when the spoiler alert, the brother dies, it's like, I love the.
I was gonna read those books.
Yet again, biggest
Snape kills Dumbledore.
The only death that bothered me more, and I will say spoilers again, was Lupin. When Lupin died, I was like, oh.
No, I'm sorry.
You started this conversation telling me how much I needed to read these books, and now you're telling me all the plot.
Lupin and his...
He's the uncle.
Oh, who is it? Tonks.
Yeah.
And
No,
Dox,
but
his
like-
pregnant wife.
But
died.
those are characters that were introduced later on.
It
Like
doesn't
Lupin
matter.
came in like the 4th book, so fuck him. The Godfather, like what's his name?
Sirius
Sirius Black. Like he was. I love Sirius, and like the loss of Sirius was I bawled my eyes out for fun. And then the worst part of the loss of Sirius Black was that's where the stupid fucking Luna Lovegood love plot started. I'm like, I'm sorry, no. Harry Potter's true love that's where it's supposed to come in. Harry Potter's true love is Luna Lovegood, not fucking Ginny Weasley.
Luna is really good, and she's
the
played out
worst.
in the films really well, actually.
And I love that she was just a fan. She was
Luna should have been his love plot. She was there for him through all the hard times, understood the weird angles, she got him from before she met him. She like saw through and understood him. Ginny was like, "You're my big brother's friend." Typical crush. Oh, sorry. You're a famous person. Typical crush. Oh, sorry. You saved my life. Typical crush. Okay, let's just put all 3 of those together. I'm just a plot crush from every fucking movie and book ever.
It was good because she stopped liking him and started dating someone else, and then Harry was like, "Hold on, what's going on?"
So she learned how to work her way around.
Exactly. Yes.
I'm glad he didn't have to deal with the training wheels scenario, but that is not a good. That is not a no.
It wasn't bad. You're making it over dramatic.
Chat have spoken, by the way. This is no longer a space stream.
This isn't even the first time. This came up like a couple of days ago with someone was saying you should do a Harry Potter roleplay. And I was like, no.
It's coming on.
I sent Harry
Your
Potter.
cloak was one of the secret keys the whole time. Sorry, those last 2 books just like. The 7th book's the worst.
I don't think the 7th book's the worst. Have you read the?
So the Magpie.
Oh, if you're talking about
gone
like
through some
beyond
trouble,
7, that's
some sort of alien stuff going on. Kind of hard. Hey, you're listening? Okay.
Oh, hey,
welcome to week 3 of Stars Without Number Ardent. If you haven't noticed, Neil is satellite broadcasting in because his computer's dead. That's just gotta
We're on the space planet desert of Pandoran.
Come on, man.
We're
Pandoran?
coming in from a long way away. It's very windy here, Ole. Very windy.
Back to Harry Potter. Did anybody else ever try butterbeer? Because
no, but I do want to. Admittedly, I do want to. Is it good?
I never bought like the Harry Potter brand butterbeer, but I did once look up the recipe long ago.
Ollie's slowly looking like he's going to kill someone.
No,
not someone.
Your character to die.
Scott's clearly looked up the recipe online and added a stick of butter to his beer at some point in his life.
We will discuss this later because Ollie should start. And
I mean, we could talk about butter.
This is fine.
Okay, well, if it's butterbeer, I have to re-Google the recipe. But back in the day, you had to buy, I believe, it was specifically Miller Lite. It was butter schnapps and something else. And you had to like it was a Boilermaker, and you literally did this way. And when you drank it, you were like, "Holy shit, this really is like a smooth, buttery, shitty beer." And that's like the whole idea of what it is. And so I enjoyed the crappies out of it.
It sounds good, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so I'm on a laptop, so I might die at some point.
I've also
You're not
somehow
plugged in?
I've deleted
Yeah,
your
I am
chin.
plugged in.
I should change that.
Of course, I'm plugged in, Scott.
There you go, Neil. Have your chin back. I'm sorry, I removed it.
Thank you.
Yes. So what happened last week is that you went. We could recap the entire adventure because only a couple of weeks in. But you are all members of the crew of Magpie, small little adventure ship. You take a job that's related to an alien artifact in a pirate area of the Pike system. You go to this downed ship. You find the alien artifact. Rain finds the alien artifact. You fight some pirates. Took a while. You then started rocketing back to your destination, which is the moon of Pike, which is called Shield. And while you were going, it turns out that some pirates that you had as visitors on your ship as little passengers have gone crazy. And where we ended off is that you actually beat them all in unarmed combat. There was a couple of bullets shot, and I think they were only like grazes, but you actually knocked them all out, which is really good because you can't do unarmed damage. You can't knock people out like you can in D&D. You have to do unarmed damage to try and knock people out, or have a stun weapon.
Or drag him.
Or drug him. It was basically an unarmed attack. But you have them, all three of them, unconscious. And it started off, it ended off with Jason taking brain scans of the three people and everyone on the crew. What you've worked out is that the crew is safe. Nothing has changed in the crew. Even Rain, who is psychic, doesn't seem to have any change. In their brains, it's like the areas that control empathy and anywhere where you would follow commands have been rewritten. Not necessarily removed, but completely changed. And it seems to have made them into feral beasts, which is something you are aware that the alien race known as wraiths can do to lesser creatures. But you've only really seen it be done to animals, although you have heard rumors of it being done to people. This is where we start off. You are around half a day from your destination, still rocketing through space, although your pilot Anna has slowed you down because you have a situation going on. So she slowed the ship down just in case you need to do anything to try and work out what's next. And it will exactly. And if you space people when you're going through hard speed, it's just going to be a blood smear on the side of the hangar. You don't want that. And the whole crew is meeting up in your in the bridge to try and work out the plan. The alien artifact, for your memory, is in the workshop, which is at the end of the cargo bay. So it's very far away from all of you right now, but it is still quite close to the people that you've got tied up and still unconscious. So you're all meeting up. I imagine it's Jason's job to sort of explain what the hell's going on.
I think it is.
Oh, shit, really? Oh, God. No, I kid. So it looks like certain parts of their brain have been repressed and certain parts of their brain chemistry have been rewritten to make them as we saw them. I'm not sure whether it is reversible. Potentially, when the influence of the artifact is removed, they will return to normal. But for the meantime, I would suggest that we all keep our distance from the artifact as much as possible. I would now like to say that this is a quarantine item and is dangerous. And we should treat it as such.
I think there's two things that we need to discuss here. Do we hold on to this artifact because of the rewards that it can bring, despite the dangers that it offers? And do we hold on to these people for the research that we can get off of them, despite the dangers they offer?
I would say we hold on to them just to not harm anyone else. We don't know if they're going to stay like this forever, and if they do, they might try to kill people. So there's that.
There's value of research, but there's also the value of our lives.
To be honest with you, I think it would be quite unfair of us to get rid of them at this point, considering that what has happened to them is our fault.
I agree.
You hear your captain, Mickey, just sigh into his hand. So...
I would actually turn to the captain then and ask him, did the people who sent us on this mission know what this artifact did? Was this maybe a way to try to get rid of us?
No. You gotta remember the situation. Is that this is a job for the Merchant Guild, but it's coming from Lucia. Lucia wouldn't deliberately try and harm me. Me and her go way back, and when I say that, it actually means something because I'm not as young as any of you. I'm thinking of trying to ring her up and see if... I'll be honest, I don't want it on my ship. I want to complete whatever this is, but ultimately we're ferrying alien artifacts to other aliens, and that makes me awfully uncomfortable. Even for a good paycheck, I think I'm probably gonna, unless there's any objections, call her and see if there's something we can change about the situation.
One of the things I'm not comfortable with, sir, is the fact that we're going to be ferrying this artifact to a place where there's a greater population than just a handful of dupes on a ship.
Exactly.
And we're still how many days away from even being back?
You're like 12 hours on full burn.
Well, I mean, it's obviously not having much of a. It's not like it's not gonna wreck a whole city. I mean, it hasn't even hit the people who are mostly in the bridge yet. So, and this ain't a big ship. It's not. It can't have that much distance.
This is like you pointing to a carving knife and saying it's not a weapon. It's not intended to be a weapon, but someone could use it like a weapon.
Oh no! I get that. I'm just saying that it could be a nasty thing, but it's not gonna wreck a city just by us bringing it there.
You don't know the long-reaching effects of this thing. You may not be able to see a star to have to feel its radiations galaxies away.
Honestly, I think we need to get as much research as we can on the way back, and I think the only research we can really get is not removing the artifact, but separating the people affected by it from it to see if they get better. We have 12 hours before we're back. I feel like it will tell us at least something.
If we do that, I suggest we do it with one of them. It'd be easier to keep them contained. I think Dawn is the frailest amongst them, so the easiest for us to do this with. And honestly, the one that we have the greatest rapport with.
We can move Donnie into the med bay and keep him sedated until the brain activity normalizes.
I think it is important that we have this discussion, though. While I am in complete agreement with your statement there, Tomas, that this is kind of our responsibility and we should be a little bit more careful with them. With Tomas and Jason. This is kind of our responsibility because we brought them aboard this ship. We also need to remember that it was their request to put them aboard this ship, and there are still our lives to be worried about. If things get out of hand, we might need to make that decision. Is everybody on board with that?
Let me paraphrase this for you, first officer. Non-RP. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Karen.
Well, I mean, I ain't very happy about killing him needlessly. I figure if we can keep him sedated, keep him tied down until we get somewhere, we can at least send him off to a mental hospital or something.
Nobody here is suggesting needless. I'm saying no.
I get that. I was just gonna finish with, but yeah, I mean, self-defense is self-defense. If they're gonna kill us, then we kill them. That's just how things work.
I think keeping them contained in an area that has access to the great outdoors is not a bad idea. Should a switch need be pulled.
Though I would say we did notice towards the end that they may possess some form of primal cognition that allows them to formulate a tactical plan. I believe Donnie looked towards the airlock control before we were able to get him under control. Perhaps it would be wise to lock all the consoles with a password for now.
That's fine.
That would be something incredibly easy to do from your terminal. It probably even is like a button, because you're so casual, you don't usually do.
Then the plan is for us to collect Donnie, bring him to the med bay, and then for us to observe his changes. As for the device itself, is there any way we can keep it safely off the ship? I say look into the captain.
I mean, I'm gonna call Lucia. If we stop and we vent it into space, we can pick it back up again, but that involves people handling it in the meantime.
It could also be difficult to track if we do something like that. I mean, I'll throw duct tape on a grav boot and strap that thing to the hull of the ship just to keep it away from us.
I mean, if you could rig a system like that, if you don't think the workshop's secure, and he kind of looks at Thomas.
I look at Thomas as well.
Look at the engineer. Engineering problem.
Build me something. Build me all the answers.
I could build you something. I could build something probably in about a few hours. But he looks around at the clearly damaged ship. I'm gonna need material in order to fix this ship. I don't want to waste it on something as simple as this thing might be.
Let's leave it down there for now. We have Jason scanning all our brain parts. If something starts looking bad, hopefully he can notice it before it happens.
And I turn to Davis and I'm like, if that thing starts affecting me, shoot me in the face.
Listen, I have another request for the captain. Sir, I would like it if every hour on the hour, we rotate between who it is that comes and has a private meeting with me, so we can gauge one another. And that includes with you, sir. Of course, I will come to you. I won't make you come to me. So we can gauge each other and make sure that everybody's maintaining their
mental stability. That seems reasonable. You think you got a good enough read on the crew to be able to tell if someone starts going doolally?
Sir, I would like to suggest that we go Jason, Tomas, the ladies, and then yourself.
All right. I gotta call a woman.
I might say when you call Lucia, if you happen to find anything useful, or if you don't, you should probably tell her that this is quite an expensive artifact, as not every ship has medically trained personnel.
I think it's absolutely fair to say that the jobs, our pay should definitely get a bump for the situation.
Excellent, Captain. He gives like a quasi salute. It's like a gesture before he walks off.
Yeah. He stands up and just goes into the captain's quarters, which are in the door to them is in the bridge. So he just goes through, closes the door.
When they have that exchange and he walks away, I'm gonna look to Jason, like kind of catch his eye, and just like shake my head, like, why would you suggest that sort of a thing? And then I'm gonna walk off to start doing my own tasks. And then we can do the 1 hour, like, so it's 1 hour be you, an hour later be the next one. We can do those afterwards.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I'd need Thomas to give me a hand moving Donnie.
I think we can all assist with that.
Right? It's just whoever wants to, I guess.
Why when we can just watch Thomas's bulging muscles popping?
Maybe that's why we all want to be there. Maybe we all want to watch Thomas.
So it's going to be like union assisting. You guys are going to watch while I do it. Okay.
I'm supervising.
Yeah, it's the officer's role.
Let's
chat. Please come with us. Fill in the hallway. Let's all watch Thomas together.
I'll say, Thomas, you don't even need to do any kind of roll to lift unconscious Donnie. Struggling to fight Donnie would be a whole other thing. So you're taking him to the med bay. Imagine you're strapping him down. You have the straps on the medical bed because everything is designed to strap down in the ship because it's a small ship. You strap him down without any sort of problem. What is it? What's your next move? They're all still unconscious. You did a number on them. They did a number on you.
Yeah, so I mean, if you remember, I did say that I was setting up just a little drip, along with doing their vitals. So those boys will stay down.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remembered that subconsciously. But yes, yeah. So they will be unconscious for as long as possible.
So once Donnie's secured in the medical bay, we still secured like cuffs, holding him to the bed.
He's strapped down.
Yeah, I can taper down that sedative. For something different that doesn't put you to sleep, but reduces anxiety.
Yeah. I get you. Again, that doesn't need any sort of medical role for you. You're just gonna have to wait and see what happens.
And yeah, I'm gonna keep that by kind of monitoring both his vitals and his brain scan. Because I'm interested to see whether there's any.
Sure. Do you want to do your little crew chats first, Scott? Because that's going to take a few hours to percolate.
Jeez, one with the boss.
Absolutely,
boss, man, the commanding officer.
So it would be what's his name? Jason first.
You got there. You're doing better with the name this time.
This is the third week. It takes Scott 3 weeks to get names anywhere close.
I keep looking.
It works.
So you come into wherever it is that we're meeting, whichever room is deemed officeable.
Probably your room.
Yeah. So you come walking in, and as soon as you walk in, I'll say,
"Have a seat on the couch."
As soon as you come walking, I'll be like, "Can I get a report on Donnie?"
No change as of yet.
His vitals?
Stable.
Really? No. Were you able to do any more scans in his mind?
The brain activity hasn't changed as of yet, but to be honest, it would probably take a little while for the sedative to work its way out of his system. Especially considering I've not taken him off sedatives full stop, but simply changed the product.
Understood. Why would you challenge him to press the heel when we're probably better off to Or we're probably better off stepping back.
In terms of pay?
Yeah.
This is clearly a highly dangerous and valuable item. If we are going to be at risk and others are going to be at risk of it, it makes sense that we should be able to put money into our pockets and then into the local economy.
I understand that you and I think of things differently, but I see this as being a dangerous enough of an artifact. I'd rather it just be gone. Even if that does come as a bit of a hit. It's not like we're going to be completely poor for making that decision.
In which case, you'll need to talk to the captain about our loss of earnings and still
You
paying
know
us.
exactly which direction he's going to go. The man is borderline a pirate.
And so do I. So I figure if we know which way Mickey's going to go, we should at least benefit from it the most.
Just wondering if it's going to come at a cost that we can't control. And then, like, I at this point, I'll kind of like drop a little bit of my rigidness that I usually have, and I'll be like, I'll be honest with you, Jay. I'm a little scared.
The brain scans have shown that no one outside the hangar was affected. Cargo bay was affected. We've not seen anything so far that suggests that it can push further, though I can't say I like the idea of the Lunans getting hold of this sort of technology. Imagine if they were able to amplify it. I mean, really, ethically, the only thing to do here is to destroy it.
I would err on that side. But we honestly don't know the full effects of this thing, exactly how it impacts us, how long it lasts for, if proximity is the factor, whether or not proximity to those that are afflicted would spread it any further. Is this contagious? I mean, I understand that more or less from your initial reports that we should believe no, but you're going to be spending a lot of time around that guy.
From what we understand from Wraith Tech, it works on psionic energy generated by the device itself. Although a brain could work as a psionic generator,
that's what I'm saying.
Are aware.
We have repeaters for radio signals and stuff like that all the time, and brain waves aren't very different from those, are they?
I feel that perhaps it would require a longer-term restructuring of the brain chemistry and the brain structure itself to accommodate these. Saying that, I've not seen Rain's brain activity during her use of her gift.
Well, while I'm curious about that, I think for now we just count our blessings that we have her on the ship and that she can give us some semblance of understanding to whatever small degree that she can. Did you bring the device with you to scan?
Yes, I've got the bioscanner with me.
Please, if you could.
Jason will like set it up, leave it on there. I imagine there's like a table, yeah, but he'll just leave it on while it's lean back and say, you know, we could always just crack it in half. They asked for the artifact, not the artifact undamaged.
The captain knows the situation as it stands, and he's not going to be persuaded to something that's going to give him a little less money.
He's a sly old fox. If we argue up the price, and then it gets dropped because of damage, and we end on the original price, he might be amenable to that.
I can try to toy around a conversation with him to see whether or not he's given her information about its effect and the fact that it's together and so on. But if he's already shared that, then we're without a battle.
Well, I mean, my sedatives just didn't have the effect we expected on this altered biochemistry, and one had managed to get up and clawed for this artifact.
He's conniving, but he's a shitty liar. You know that. He tries too hard, just like I'm too rigid. We're both terrible liars. That's why we have you on comms, isn't it, medical officer?
Oh yeah, that worked out really well in the last combat. Well, we didn't get hacked, I suppose.
Well, it still is better for general communication. How often do we have to deal with ships firing upon us?
That's true. The last guy I spoke to is now on this ship in a coma. That's it's a good track record.
You're being too hard on yourself. Come on. All right, scan me so I know that I'm not going crazy.
All right. He'll lean forward and just have a look at the results, like have a flick through.
I imagine you've basically got it set like for it to notice any aberrant changes and tell you, and it probably pretty much just like the scanner in Subnautica. It's like healthy.
So it's got obviously it's got like average data for a human of his age.
Yeah.
But then it also, because I've already been doing scans,
His
it
brain
compares
already,
that, compares that to previous scans to see whether there's any change outside of normal range and from his previous scans.
It seems that he's showing signs of stress, Doctor. But otherwise, fine. Otherwise, no. The changes in Donnie and his boys are very specific and very dramatic. So you're pretty sure you'd notice them if they started happening, and you don't.
Well, all seems normal for you, I suppose. He stands up, ready to take his leave, and he puts a hand on your shoulder and says, "Don't put this all on you. It's not your fault that the captain decided to take us out here."
It is my fault that they're on this ship, though. I was the one that pushed for it. We made a deal, and I was the one that pushed really hard for them to be on the ship. And now, not only did we have to deal with that situation, it's adding a complication on top of what it is we're already dealing with.
Well, let's just say this. If it hadn't been them, it probably would have been one of us.
I'll place my hands like on top of the hand that's on my shoulder and give like a little squeeze, like of thanks. I'd be like, thanks. Like after a pause. It's like after a little pause. And then I'll get up and say, all right, keep me posted if there's any changes to his brain waves or activity in general.
Will do.
Once again, get like really rigid again. My typical stance, and go back about my duties until the next conversation.
In between the next conversation, you actually get a message on the ship intercom, which is basically Anna saying, prepare for slowdown to eventual stop, which you're glad for, because if the ship stops very suddenly and you're not sitting, it's not like you're going to get thrown to the side, but it's not a pleasant experience. The ship's not that crappy, although it has taken some damage, so honestly, who knows? So you sit down, maybe even strap down if you're very careful like Davis, and the ship slows down to eventual stop. I imagine Davis is the one who goes and asks about that, and if you do, Mickey is in the bridge, and he actually just like claps his hands when he sees you and says, "Lucia's bringing another ship around to pick it up." Apparently, How far?
Please, sir.
Well, apparently the Merchant Guild has a science ship on their docket. I imagine maybe scanning for materials, maybe, I don't know why, but they do. I mean, I don't run these sort of things, but occasionally maybe they picked it up on sale, something of the sort. Something with medical facilities. I didn't go very far into details. A
science vessel?
A science vessel.
You and I both very well know that one of the greatest pirate ships you can have is one that was previously... This could be a Trojan horse.
Well, that's why we're not just going to leave it with them and go. Sort of made a deal that we're going to watch over what they do, where they go, and, because, look, I know you, Davis, even if you might not want to say that I do, but you probably care about what happens to this thing. And honestly, I do too. I don't like seeing people's minds get boggled. I basically adjusted the parameters of the job that we're gonna follow this ship like security. If hopefully it should go back to S.H.I.E.L.D. or maybe Pike like it said it would. But if it doesn't, well, then we can make sure that people end up safe in the end.
So we're going to be following this thing around for a while. How long's the trek, do we know?
I mean, she said it might be a jump of wherever they need to go or wherever they're coming from.
You and I both know that these jumps use technology that's kind of beyond our understanding and somewhat linked to what it is that allows people to have psionic ability. If you combine a jump with whatever effect, what if it amplifies the artifact?
Well, then hopefully this ship has enough facilities on board that we can have our boy Jason look at it on their facilities. And if we decide that we can't jump, and we don't jump, and we convince the other captain that that's the correct course of action. If they try to warm up their jump drive, then we shoot it out of the sky.
They're going to see us as typical salvagers, as nobodies, pieces of shit, and expendable. So when we go aboard their ship, whatever advice we give, whatever opinions we have, they're going to be taken under consideration and ignored. So do we even want to bring it aboard their ship, or do we want to keep it with us until we get to where we're going? If we're escorting, that is.
Let's see their ship. Go aboard, see what they have. If it doesn't seem suspicious to you, we let them take the thing. Probably safer on a dedicated vessel. None of us are gonna get sick. But your watchful eye and keen instincts are probably relevant. Probably good to check.
Another point was, you spoke to her, of course, and you changed the parameters as you had stated to being as they are. But when you spoke to her about the device, did you tell her what it did?
I said it was some kind of physical issue to the crew.
Fair, that's a fair
I didn't
statement.
go into details, because honestly I don't really get the details. Jason wrote me up this whole document, and I don't get a lick of it.
I read it twice, and neither do I.
That makes me feel a little bit better. I mean, it's up to Jason, what he tells to them, the other crew. But, I mean, if anyone on that ship is any nearly as smart as him, they'll be able to figure it out.
What is she expecting to find?
She doesn't know anything. She was just told that this is a job to pick something up. Something that's alien, which is why she's willing to send another ship that's dealt with alien stuff before.
One of the crew did suggest that potentially we could damage or break the artifact and deliver it in that state, because they would be none the wiser. You could potentially blame it on the fact that it's injured for why it had this malfunctioning aspect, why it altered people's minds. Whatever details you choose to or not to give.
So you're having this meeting in the bridge, and Anna, the pilot, is there because she's just slowing down the ship and making sure everything's sort of working. She sort of turns around and is like, you want to crack it in half? And Mickey just sort of shows his hands like, but I mean, cracking it in half, that's... But you think maybe someone smart could disable it? It's clearly radiating something, even if we can't see it. I mean, it's got glowing going on. That usually means it's on, right? That's what all of these things do. Light means it's on. You think one of us could turn it off without making it look damaged?
I honestly don't know. It was a suggestion made by one of the crew. My personal opinion is strap it to a nuke and send it to the nearest star. But if we were to continue traveling with this thing, or if we were concerned about what effects it could have on somebody else, should it continue forward, potentially disabling or permanently damaging it might not be a bad thing. I just don't know the feasibility of the plan.
I like the idea of seeing if we can get disabled, but then there's the obvious fact that means that one of our boys is going to have to go up close, probably both of them. Probably going to want Jason and Thomas fiddling with that thing together. Jason understands brains, this thing's got stuff to do with brains, and Thomas understands metal.
Do we still have that drone from the asteroid job we did a few months back, or is that thing busted?
Don't work for shit. Scrap metal.
Damn it.
Probably can rig it to clean the floor if you wanted. Couldn't make it up the ladders.
Yeah, I don't think we should have it trying to disable a bomb.
You're gonna have to, I mean, maybe Jason can, I mean...
It's too much time. It's too much effort into something that's likely going to be fruitless when Jason has a lot of... I said Jason, sorry. When Tomas has a lot of other tasks on his hands and Jason should be focusing on the patients. Sorry, I brought it up, sir.
No, it's always good to pull together our ideas, and it might come up later on. I mean, you make a good point. I'm a loving guy. I like to trust people. I really do. Most people ain't deserving of trust, but I trust my friend Lucia. I really hope she's not trying to fucking stick us up or put us in some sort of mess, but in case she is, In case this thing is being sold to, well, I mean, it's being taken to Lunans and they're trying to do something goofy with it. It might be something we might want to look at near the end of this whole debacle. And hopefully it does end soon.
Can I just make one request while we're doing this job, sir? For the sake of the crew's sanity.
What?
Could we not play Jimmy Buffett over the PA system until the job's over?
That right there is an antique relic recording. You know, from Earth itself. You should be honored to listen to it.
It's an honor every time, but I don't know how many more.
I don't think I've ever had a crew member complain, honestly.
At that moment, Tomas comes walking into the bridge, like whistling, wasting.
Oh, he does it, and I say, "Sir," and I like do like a kind of.
Anna gives you a sympathetic look when you leave. And and then you can have your next meeting. He would percolate that plan. I've been saying percolate a lot recently. You know when you just have a word that you like?
You know why? It's because I've been talking about coffee with you.
Probably. He would tell everyone that that's basically what's going on, but not as much detail as you told Davis. Davis, who is it you need to talk to next?
Next is supposed to be Tomas. When he has.
I get we're doing this in order of importance.
Yeah, from least to most.
I actually want to speak to the psionic last for a reason.
Because you don't know much about Rain. She plays guitar. She can't tell when people are becoming feral monsters.
She did notice.
I mean,
when it was pointed out to her.
and then when she noticed, she was like, "Yeah, I guess."
They're acting a little weird.
Yeah, they're kind of different.
They're still listening to my guitar.
Yeah, that's the thing that matters. All right, so Thomas is going around making sure the ship doesn't fall apart. And now that you're actually stationary, you can have a little more like, okay, I can actually fucking fix this thing that kept moving. But you could probably you can make time for Davis.
If he's actively working, I would actually send like a message over to his device, probably like 5-10 minutes in advance, being like, if you're busy, I can come to you.
Is there a winky face? And how
no, Davis doesn't use emojis at all. He actually also uses full stops at the end of every sentence.
No!
He's very punctually correct on his data pad.
I would just show up to where I assume he'd be. I would just be like, yeah.
No response, then shows up. Okay. That makes sense.
We all know that guy.
Yeah.
It's Scott.
So I would just like walk in like, yeah, I got time to talk.
Be like, please come in.
I'd walk in.
You can sit, stands. This doesn't have to be extremely formal.
Yeah, just kind of like lean on the chair with my hands on it.
How goes the repairs, Tomas?
They're going. I mean, I've got a lot to do, and I won't be able to do it until we can get into an actual like place to do it. It's patchwork at best.
Yeah, at the very least, a wet dock. I gotcha.
Yes.
So this whole situation that happens, you've been a little close to it. You obviously were in its face down in the cargo area. You helped transport to the medical bay. What's your opinion of the situation?
I think this thing is definitely affecting people. I just think it's affecting people that are a little weaker minded than the rest of us.
Oh damn, son.
It's not an unfair assessment.
I don't think it's necessarily that they were too close to it for too long, as much as it's they allowed it to affect it as well as it did. And I think it might affect us. It might affect even the strongest of minds, just it would take a lot longer.
Beyond the three of them, the person who spent the most time down in that cargo area happened to be Rain. But, as we've all recently discovered, Rain is a little different in her capabilities than all of us originally understood.
I keep hearing you guys say that. I just don't know why. What's so special? She could shoot a gun, yeah.
Do you remember when you jumped across ship to ship? She
yeah,
wasn't
and
there
then
when you came
there was
back?
like a fizzling, yeah, and you said, "Oh, I'll explain that to you later," and it's been 2 days.
It's been a very busy 2 days. My apologies for not explaining a little bit further to us. From what I understand, and I didn't witness this myself, it's just reports and the like from the others. She was able to transport herself back to the bridge of our ship in an instant.
Like teleporting, like just.
If there's such a thing, then yes.
Jeez.
Took a
Well, I guess
step
that's
through space-time.
That's definitely means calling her special. Yeah, sure. She's special, all right.
So she's had the most exposure to this device out of those of us remaining. Do you think that her strength of mind would make her a less likely candidate to fall to its will? Or potentially the openness of her mind a more likely candidate?
I mean, it's too much of a variable. Say it was just a bunch of regular people, and it went from the weakest of minds to the strongest of minds over time. She might be immune to it because of what her abilities are. We don't even know. That's just too many variables. She can't even be compared.
I agree with you. Actually, the words that you're saying are exactly what I've been thinking for a while now. So I'm glad that you have this opinion. However, out of all of us, you actually have the strongest relationship with Rain than myself, Jason.
I mean, I don't avoid her to play guitar.
So, I was wondering if you could just help keep an extra eye on her because of that. I honestly believe what you had just said, that she's likely going to be immune or at least more resilient than the rest of us. But it's always good to keep an eye because she had the most exposure.
Yeah, that makes sense. My question though is, so we're giving this to Lucian or the captain's friend?
I'm actively trying to hide the angry look on my face. I imagine you can't see any facial expression in the eyes or the cheeks.
It was like a scowl.
But there's like, you can see my jaw doing the flaring thing.
It's almost like the no expression is the expression. So I'm reading that. It's like, yeah, okay, he's specifically trying not to give an expression here.
Yep.
It's just, I don't know. Times are a bit crazy right now with Pike and Novus, and it's just I'm worried that this is going to be used for something it shouldn't be.
There are a lot of concerns. That is one of the longer concerns, but you're not wrong.
So I think I need to find a way to contain this thing without anyone being able to be affected by it. Now, from what I hear, we're staying on the ship longer. We're not going to be landing like we were supposed to be.
My apologies. I was under the understanding that the captain had spread the rest of the word to the rest of the crew. I will gladly inform you what I know of as of right now.
Yeah.
He had spoken to Lucian, more or less is said that we are going to be watching after this device till it gets to its final location instead of dropping it at a midpoint. Part of that being, part of that task is there's a science vessel that she has procured, or at least the guild has procured along the way. I'm not going to go into the details or my opinions of it. When the vessel arrives, we are supposed to meet with them and, in theory, transport the device to them and follow them to its final stop. My opinion was we keep the device on our ship because here we can at least watch after a little bit more closely. I don't think our following them is going to be very much appreciated by those of the crew. I think they're going to take an order and be upset that it was given to them.
I mean, it does make sense, but if they want to studying it on our ship doesn't make sense if they have a science vessel. I think
the captain's current position is for us to, when the ship arrives, meet with them, go on board, whatever it is we need to do, and then make the judgments for how it is we're going to proceed. So for now, seat of our pants. I
think that's the smartest thing to do. If they have something that can contain this thing, I'm not going to waste my time or resources trying to make it. So, yeah,
I don't think the entire crew will be going across for this. I would like to stay behind here and watch after our ship while the assessment is made of theirs. I would appreciate it if you went aboard.
I would gladly go aboard.
Yourself and Jason going with the captain would be all the eyes and ears that we need to find out whether or not they have the capability of housing or handling the situation. Rain maybe as well, because, well,
I'm worried about leaving you here with 3 not well-minded people.
I know how to handle my sidearm, and they're all currently contained. Besides,
He
I
like
won't
looks
be
at your
completely-
sidearm and like he like looks off into space for a second. Well, sure. Is that all?
How you feeling?
I feel fine. Stressed, but I mean, when your ship is as shitty as it is right now and you can't fix it, what else would stress out an engineer?
I'll actually go over to a drawer and I'll pull out a little flask I have there. Like, sorry, a little bottle I have there of like a halfway decent scotch or whatever. And I'll pour two like one finger pours, like short pours. And I'll say, just keep us together.
So he'll pull out of like his pocket like a soda. Something like a fruity soda and like crack it and pour it into the scotch and
I
cheers.
watched that and I'm just like
The Jaws plays again.
and I'm like,
he doesn't pour it into yours though, only his own.
no, I know.
I'm just
Oh, you
saying.
want some?
Yeah, you want I mean, this stuff makes any drink great. It's like sweet.
The thing is exactly the soda I referenced yesterday that tastes like Tutti Frutti, is what I'm imagining. It's
Tutti
so
Frutti.
sugary and American, and I love it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it's like I could only imagine to him it's like fucking Mountain Dew Code Red.
It's
Space
Mountain Dew.
version.
It's
Like,
Mountain
yeah.
Dew.
God damn it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
gross. So he does that. I am not as good at hiding my face after that, but then I'll kind of like break it and be like, cheers, and like throw mine back and put the thing down and very quickly put the bottle away.
Davis is like potentially ruin a civilization. Hold it together. Ruin my whiskey.
Oh, now you've done it.
That's funny.
And then obviously go on. Oh shit. I always forget the other character's name.
Magpie.
What the hell's the chick's name?
Anna.
Anna. It's
Anna.
like the easiest name out of all of them.
Her name is Anna Xavier.
Xavier.
Mhm.
Is she a natural psychic too?
Well, her and Rain
It's Xavier
do
with a
get
Z,
along.
not an X.
It is with an X, actually.
Of course it is. That's how you spell Xavier.
Yeah. Don't be silly. This is space, but we still have rules.
I'm
So is
sorry. With a Z, not an X.
Oh, I don't give a fuck. You want to meet with Anna? Next?
Yeah. Yeah, because they're doing a rain last.
Yeah,
Yep.
considering the ship is not moving right now, she has no issue coming up. She probably comes to you like a little bit earlier and like knocks on the side of your room and just sort of,
I quickly zip it up and put it away.
Not safe for work warning right here.
she sort of looks in. She does actually glance at your. If you imagine these data pads work like surfaces where you can sort of prop them up like laptops, and I imagine you were doing that, and she just very not casually looks at your screen, and then goes,
Absolutely not.
not that you want, just she does do it, and
Yeah.
goes, I have time now if you need to talk, making these crew assessments.
Yep. Please come in.
She
How are you
says,
doing, Anna?
I'm fine. I mean, I don't like any of this, honestly.
I don't think anybody could like something like this.
I've not had to deal with anything that wasn't human before. I mean, humans are quantifiable. You can figure them out. You can shoot them. I mean, if someone's going to be if you're doing one of these jobs and it was a person doing this to people, you just break their kneecaps and it would be much easier. But this is something with some machine. I don't really get it.
I'll come over and sit down across her and be like, well, speaking of broken kneecaps, he does have a long history with her. Is there a reason why she would want to set him up?
I've been on jobs from her before. Before she lost her job. They were the same sort of thing, of course. Nothing like this. Just actually, from what we're doing, sort of, we're going to be protecting that science vessel. A lot of jobs like that. The Magpie has pretty good weaponry for the size. It takes people by surprise, and that's very valuable in protection work. So that kind of bodyguarding job is typical, but she never asked for anything with aliens before, but she had her job before. Now she's probably taking on things that are a little intense, a little desperate. Maybe she wouldn't have done it if she didn't need to. You know, I think Tom has mentioned, someone mentioned she's in a lot of debt, this Lucia. This is why she's put us on this job to try and fix it.
There's currently a threat to all of us right now on our ship, and given the situation, I'm more than capable and willing to send those 3 relatively innocent men to space to keep us safe. However, I am not willing to send you, Tomas, Jason, and the rest down the same fate, because even when we become desperate, we still have boundaries until that next step of desperation takes us beyond it. My question is, how desperate do you think she is? You overheard the conversation, didn't you?
Wasn't meant to. That door is awfully thin.
And you do sit in that seat all day.
It's not like we're being betrayed or anything. I just think that Lucia really wants this to work. And I think if you're selling an alien artifact to anyone that can do anything aside from look pretty, then there's probably more to it. I really want to believe that this Lunan is some collector, but let's be honest. I know all the stories. They kidnap people. They make robots that look like people. They're not human, no matter what people say. We're basically sending alien artifacts to aliens, but these ones might want to do something horrible with it. I'm not okay with any of this. And it was one thing when we were just picking it up and bringing it back, but now we're going to the Lunans.
Yeah, I know. We're going to be at their doorstep, which doesn't make me feel very comfortable, especially if we leave it in their hands for the trek. Kind of makes it hard to turn tail and run if you also have to go back in and grab back the item that you're running with.
What are you saying? You're saying that we shouldn't do any of this?
I'm saying that I trust the captain's opinion to assess the situation before we make any final decisions, and that during the time in which that they are doing that assessment, we're going to keep the engines very well primed and ready. When was the last time you talked to Tomas about those configurations? I know you've had a long history together, but there are those hard turns and whatnot that you've worked out in the past. The ship is a little damaged. You might want to go over what you could pull if you need to when the time comes.
I get it. You want me drag race configurations? You want a fast burn out of there? I can do that.
Do you mind having that conversation with him?
Easy enough.
One last favor then, please. You spend more time with him than the rest of us. Sure, I may be his, the next in command, but you are at his hip for longer than I have, and for more hours each day. I trust the man, but he's already a bit zany, and so it might be a little difficult to see a decline.
You want me to keep an eye on him in case he starts going doolally too?
Of course.
Yeah, I'd be able to tell the difference.
When you have spare time, not now, no rush. When you have a spare time, if you can swing by the medical bay and just have a scan done. Routine scans, they don't need to be set times, just periodic.
She gets up to leave and sort of lingers in the door, and she turns back and kind of looks at you like in the eye and says, "Everyone on this ship listens to you. Just remember that."
Thank you.
Oh shit!
And then she turns and leaves. And,
So,
what are you doing immediately after that?
I didn't know if you wanted to do a break first. Other than that, it's going to be raining.
I was going to do a break before we have a glorious rain conversation. So why don't we take a little 5 or so minute break to get Scott off my screen? Get yourself a coffee. We got some in the bridge. It's still warm, and we'll see you in a couple minutes.
My arm's getting tired from that.